Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mr. and Lady viewing at home, thank you all for tuning into Kinetic Aesthetic. You already know I'm the hostess with the mostest. Germ is the name, and today is another edition of Sports Talk. It might not be Tuesday, but it is time to have that discussion. Like I said already, it's the NFL draft this week, so I was definitely going to have to take a little bit more time to look into some things before I recorded this and brought it to you. You gotta come correct on draft night. I had to make sure I knew what things were looking like, who was going to be taken where, what to expect, and if any surprises were in store. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, just as a preview, this one is going to be crazy. There's not a lot of real highly touted quarterbacks outside of Fernando Mendoza. There's literally only one other guy that's probably going to be taken in the first round, and someone's going to trade up to do it, most likely. And other than that, there's really just not a lot of consensus on where all these guys from 2 to 32 and beyond are going to be going. It's a lot of, trench play guys. There's a lot of young quarterbacks on a lot of teams in the league. So what I'm expecting is a lot of trench players to be drafted, a lot of offensive line and defensive line stuff. But we're going to get into all that because not only are we going to be talking about the NFL draft, we're going to be discussing the NBA playoffs, all of the games that have been going on so far. A lot of series are already through their third game, going on to their fourth. Tonight, as I'm recording and releasing this, there's probably some game threes going on the other side of things. But we're going to talk about all of that and more after a little brief moment. So you already know what the deal is. Go ahead and get yourself some food, get yourself a snack, get a drink, prop those feet up, get comfortable because sports talk and Kinetic Aesthetic are going to be right back very shortly to talk all about all of these things and more. All right, everybody. The NBA playoffs are here. The first round has gotten underway, and a lot of these games are going into their game 4. Some of them are on game 3 tonight as I'm recording this. So there's definitely some stuff for us to talk about so far. It's not too much, nothing too real crazy has happened. Victor Wembanyama got a concussion in game 2, which is probably the most noteworthy thing that I've been able to find that's happened. But other than that, a lot of these series have been going the way I thought they would. Only a few have really given me anything to be surprised by. But let's get into the Eastern Conference first. Let's start to talk about them. Starting off with the Detroit Pistons, the number 1 seed, playing the Orlando Magic, the 8. Now, Detroit was able to win game 2, but they dropped game 1, which was a little bit of a shocker. Orlando came out strong. They were putting a lot of pressure on Cade, not allowing him to facilitate the way he normally does, forcing him to take some inefficient shots that he normally doesn't like to take. And game 1 really just went like that. I know it left me a little surprised. I didn't expect the Detroit to really just dominate or to really just sweep them or anything like that. But I didn't expect them to lose game 1. I did not expect them to lose on their home court. Game 2, though, was when they were able to really get things in order, sort of, seize back that home court advantage. I think it really came down to Cade just knowing what he had to do, understanding that they were going to be focused all on him, and he came and performed. Orlando has a very strong defense, the same as Detroit, so I want to give that a lot of credit for how game 1 went. But I just don't think that in the end they're going to be able to make the shots to really keep this as interesting as one would think. So game 3, game 4, game 5, I'm definitely going to be picking Detroit in all of those. I don't think that Orlando's going to win another game. And I think that just has to come down to the talent. It's at the end of the day, this is a 1 seed going up against an 8 seed. Detroit has been on the rise for the past couple of years. So this is a team that's got chemistry that's going to just continue to get better. The playoffs can be a different animal. It can be, hard to really get used to that, especially if you're a younger team. So I want to credit that also for a big part of maybe what happened in game 1. But I don't think that it's going to be anything similar in games 2 or through 5 or however long the series goes. I'm picking Detroit and the rest. Moving on, we had the 76ers going up against the Celtics. This is a series that I don't have any real doubt about either. Boston already without Jason Tatum being back was probably one of the better teams in the league. Now with him, that puts them over the top to the point where unless the Knicks are able to make it past the Atlanta Hawks, I think the Celtics are going to win the East. So I think they're going to handle this one. When it comes to 76ers, I feel like Tyrese Maxey is probably still really good in what they should be doing. Joel Embiid, though, I think at this point, this is probably where they should, if they haven't already really given it serious thought, you should probably just blow it all up. What are we really doing? What are we still trying to fight and hold on to this shit for? Just let that team like blow it up, rebuild, and get better. Now, moving on from that, we've got the Atlanta Hawks. They're tied up with the New York Knicks. That is the 6th seed against the 3 seed. Hawks, Knicks, 6-3. But like I said before, this is the one that was a toss-up. I still am very uncertain on the sense to who I should pick or lean with, because I do like what the Hawks have going. Ever since they traded Trae Young, they've been very hot. They've been a very, very fun team to watch, pay attention to. I know that they were winning a lot of those games against, not the best teams, but they still were winning the games in front of them. And when it comes to the Knicks, this is the best year they've had since 2013. I do think that they have the talent to come out of the East, not win the finals, but to come out of the East. But they're probably going to have the toughest gauntlet out of all the Eastern Conference teams that are here. If they get past this, they're going to have to play Boston. That right there is probably going to be your Eastern Conference Finals. Now, the last series that we have to talk about on the Eastern side is going to be the Toronto Raptors against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland is already up 2-0. They've got the best net rating outside of OKC, and they're shooting the best with the best field goal percentage. So they're just doing what they have to do. Listen, it's a Cleveland team with James Harden on it. Already last year, I've had a lot of people that I've seen come out and say they don't think that this Cleveland team is better than the one last year. I don't know about that. I'm inclined to believe them and agree. But at the end of the day, I'm not really going to be ever having all of my faith in a team that has James Harden on it, especially when it comes to playoff basketball. So we'll see what happens. Usually James Harden teams don't fuck up in the first round anyway. They're usually a second or third round blow up. So I expect them to get past this. This is the one series that's like 2-0 right now. I don't see any chance of the Raptors getting another game. Now, moving on to the Western Conference, we've got the OKC Thunder going up against the Phoenix Suns. This is another one of those the OKC has been the best team all year, damn near. So I really don't see a reason to think that they are going to even drop a game to Phoenix. This young core they have is 10-0 in the playoffs going back to last year, and it's probably going to be 12-0 soon. Now, moving on to the San Antonio Spurs against the Portland Trail Blazers. This is one that I also would have expected to be a sweep if not for Wemby getting that concussion in Game 2. As of right now, from what I've read, his status is still uncertain for Game 3. But even if that were to be the case, even if he doesn't play, I don't expect the Trail Blazers to really do much more in this series to make it much more interesting than this. The Spurs may be young, but they are still just so much more better than the Trail Blazers. So don't expect this to be the type of thing to where Wemby being gone is going to make this a nail biter or anything like that. The Spurs have been playing so well all season, I see no real reason to doubt them. Up next, we've got the Denver Nuggets going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is the Knicks-Hawks series of the Western Conference for me right now. Two good teams, two superstar players in Anthony Edwards and Nikola Jokic playing right now. So it's no surprise that the series is tied up. I don't have any real reason to think that Denver won't be able to pull this out in the end, although I highly doubt this doesn't go any less than 6 or 7 games. It's just one of those series where I hate that one of these teams isn't going to be able to move on, because these are both two fun teams to watch. I love seeing Anthony Edwards in the playoffs. I sort of wish that these guys, there's no other series where I'm not going to want one of those winners to come out of it, but damn, it sucks that these are the two really fun teams that one of them's going to have to go home. Last series to talk about, though, is going to be the Lakers going up against the Rockets. The Lakers are surprisingly up 2-0 on the Rockets right now. And I mean, listen, LeBron James is always going to deserve a lot of credit. Him being as old as he is and still putting up the numbers, the efficiency that he is, 22.5 points per game, 8 rebounds, and then 10 assists. That's at fucking 41 or however old he is. That's fucking crazy. Then you've got guys like Luke Kennard coming out, who was an unknown to me before this series, and him coming out and just playing the way he has. So it speaks, number one, to how well the Lakers are playing, because this is crazy for them to be showing up like this despite Luka being out and Austin Reeves, but they're getting it done. They're up 2-0. And really, the real question has to go, what the fuck is happening to the Rockets? You know, for as much shit as I gave KD earlier in the year and earlier in the season, I should say, for making fun of his teammates from a burner, they're proving him right. They're proving that he was justified in doing all that because nobody else is showing up. This has been all Lakers so far. I'm honest. I don't really know what you do if the series continues to go this way, because I don't know if, just trading for Giannis is going to just put this team over the top and fix all of their problems. And I don't know how this. I don't want to blame one player for this, because I know basketball goes way deeper than that. But it has to be said, it's just hilarious how KD, ever since leaving the Warriors, it's like he's constantly found himself just back in the situation where he gets a team that everybody's expecting them to be so much better than they are into the playoffs, and they just disappoint. And it happened in Brooklyn. It happened everywhere. It happened in Phoenix. It happens everywhere he goes. And I just, at a certain point, when are we going to just look at Kevin Durant and just say, like, there's something about him. He cannot be one of your top players on a championship winning team. He can't be the top two. Maybe that's a crazy statement. Maybe that's my real controversial hot take of the day. I just don't think that Kevin Durant is a winner, despite him being one of the best scorers of all time. It's just something about him. It's something that he does to these teams to where he never is able to put them in this position that they need to be. So like I said, one of the greatest scorers of all time, top 15 player of all time, but I will always think of him as a bit overrated now, especially just seeing how his career has played out, because he's never been able to really get anything to work when he's the lead player on a team. Steph won him those rings. He blew the 3-1 lead to them when he had Russ and OKC, and then went to go join the niggas that beat him. And that speaks to Kevin Durant's character. And you know what? This is his legacy, not just in the playoffs, but just as a regular season. He's a guy that he's a really good mercenary. But if you are bringing him in to lead your team in any way, shape, or form, expect disappointment and expect failure. Alrighty, so the NFL draft is kicking off tonight. As of this recording, we are only a few hours away from everything kicking off in Pittsburgh. The Las Vegas Raiders held the number 1 overall pick, and it is widely believed and almost certain that they are going to be picking Fernando Mendoza. Outside of that, though, it is a shit show. It is a cold crapshoot. I really don't have a lot of predictions. Trust me, I tried to look at as many mock drafts as I could, and the only thing consistent is that everybody's got at least 1 or 2 trades happening in this first round, and that Fernando Mendoza is going to be gone pick 2. So I really don't have a lot of predictions on what I think certain teams are going to be doing. There's no real consensus on players outside of Fernando going number 1. I've seen pretty much everyone say that at least someone is going to not at least someone, that one of those top teams that are picking are going to be trading back into the first round to make sure they grab Ty Simpson. But aside from that, it's been all over the place. Even for the Bears, I'm going to get into in a second, I've seen us being projected as taking an offensive tackle. Then some people have us taking an edge. Some of us have us taking a guy named DJ Parker, and then other guys have us taking just anybody and anyone. So when it comes to a specific pick, who knows, y'all? This is a very wild draft. No quarterbacks being really consensus top 5 outside of Fernando means that you can expect anything after he's gone. You can expect it. You might see some trades. You might see some people trading up. Like the top overall player I've seen is like a running back in Jeremiah Love. So that should tell you the type of draft that we're in for. Expect chaos. Expect craziness. Expect some surprises. But really, outside of the draft, the main thing that has been in the news has just been this Mike Vrabel and Diana Russini drama. It's want to touch on right now because as this current news shows, it's going to be affecting the Patriots and their whole draft process. Because after yesterday, when he came out and said that he was going to not be there on day 3 of the draft, or really, I think he said he was going to be stepping away, period. I'm not entirely sure. It's sort of been confusing with him. More pictures came out. This time we had pictures from 2020 that show Mike Vrabel and Diana Russini had been sneaking and geeking for a good long time. And this is bad. It is not a good look. This is after he had already come out and lied. He had tried to hit the whole, y'all don't know what you're talking about. You don't need to be worried about this type of thing to the media when they were asking about it. So for you to come out and show that you had been doing this sneaky shit, that you had been doing this, and this is, I think, when he was back coaching the Titans, not a good look. This does not bode well for anybody in the situation. Now, Diana Russini has already lost her job. She already did the whole tried to be the victim and shit like that thing, got called out for it, rightfully. And she is a shitty person. Like, I'm not trying to overly put, like I said, it is fucked up that she's getting most of the vitriol online and everything, but she is a horrible person. I just saw a fucking tweet today about how when she was looking at her 4-day-old son that she had just given birth to, she was already making tweets like talking about Mike Vrabel and how she was thinking about him. Real weirdo scumbaggy shit. And it's the type of thing to where I'm just going to say this right now. If you are ever in a situation where you feel like you are that, like, just not infatuated with your partner or you're infatuated with somebody else, leave that person alone. Don't go out there and make them look stupid. If you feel like you're not in love with them or you feel like you want to cheat, you should probably just dump that person no matter where you're at. Doesn't matter if it's in the middle of the fucking night. Just dump them. Because you don't have to be out here moving as shitty as Mike Vrabel and Diana Russini were. And it's crazy that I'm even having to have this discussion and when we're supposed to be talking about the draft. But that is where we're at right now. Who knows? This is a story that never dies. So by the time this next sports talk comes out on this upcoming Tuesday, I'll probably be talking about this shit again. But going back to the draft itself, like I said, I really don't have too much predictions outside of, Ty Simpson getting drafted at the end of the first round and Mendoza going number 1. I don't even know where Jeremiah Love is supposed to be going. I've been seeing a lot of buzz around him going to Arizona, but then there's a lot of buzz that they are going to pass on him. I really don't know what to really expect when it comes to position-wise because I haven't even heard about a lot of wide receivers. This is really just going to be a defensive line and offensive line heavy draft. There's a lot of teams that have young quarterbacks, I feel like, that are going to want to try to shore them up. And for the teams that don't or are trying to oppose that, you're going to want to get a lot of speed on your edges. You're going to want to get a lot of good, solid, quality interior defensive linemen because you're going to want people that are going to be able to get home. The name of the game is creating pressure, whether that be on offense or whether that be on defense. So expect a lot of defensive linemen to be selected, expect a lot of offensive linemen, but that's a lot of times, that's always. Now, when it comes to the Bears specifically, I only have one real thing that I want to see happen, and it has to do with them picking an offensive lineman within the first 3 picks. I don't think it has to be the first round pick, but with at least one of those second round picks or that, you've got to grab somebody that's going to be able to come in and provide you some good depth or a good piece, because losing Ozzie Tripolo and Drew Dahlman all in one offseason is not good. This is an offensive line that had just now started to get good again. We just got them back solid. Yes, we signed Garrett Bradbury as a replacement on that offensive line for the center position, but that might not be enough. I haven't heard enough good things about him to make me feel comfortable with him taking over. So I hope that they're able to really just, I'm not saying they need to be somebody that just comes in and takes Ozzie's spot, but we need somebody that's going to be able to hold it down until he gets back. And even then, it's not really guaranteed that he's going to be able to return to form 100%, but I'm holding out hope for him. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, after we get that offensive lineman picked, everything needs to go there. We lost both of our safeties in Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard. We lost Tremaine Edmonds and we lost Nahshon Wright. So we have got to secure those. We've got to secure every single spot on that defense. We need to make sure that it's solid, that it's good going into this next upcoming season, because it's bad enough you've got offensive line questions now, but if the offense does end up taking a step back or isn't able to be as dynamic as they were this last season, you're going to be in big fucking trouble, because that defense already has a lot of questions. They already were not a great unit. They were good at making turnovers. Well, one guy specifically was sort of good at making turnovers. And other than that, two guys, because Kevin Byard was good himself too. He was leading the league in interceptions. Sorry to discredit him and not give him his respect. But we're going to need to have some serious impact and splash players on defense in order to make sure that everything stays progressing. Not that we stay stagnant and sort of just become an 11-6 team again. I think this team has potential to win 13 or 14. It's just going to really come down to making sure that defense can match up. I like the Devin Bush signing. I like the Kobe Bryant signing. But those alone are not enough. I would have loved if we would have really tried to make a play for Dexter Lawrence before he got traded from the Giants, but I understand why you didn't. The 10th overall pick is a very high price to pay. So it's just gonna come down to making sure that whoever Ryan Poles picks is somebody that Dennis Allen is going to be able to get the most out of, and that they are somebody that has that hunger and desire to be great. I've seen a lot of mock drafts have us taking his name is DJ Parker. I don't know what team he played, what school he played for. I want to say it was Clemson, but I don't want to get quoted on that. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't pay too much attention to all of these college players and everything like that, especially not until the college football playoffs. But I'm really hoping that whoever we pick, they're able to make an immediate impact and they're able to make a splash. Because if we can get somebody really good opposite Montez Sweat, I think we can have a really solid pass rush. I think Montez Sweat is a more than solid number 2. But when you put him as that number 1 and you have him and you're expecting him to be that guy that's coming out and getting you all that pressure, you're setting him up for failure. So I just hope that they focus on defense. I hope that we get a good, solid offensive lineman prospect, especially towards the top. If you're in the 6th or 7th round and you decide to go wide receiver or something like that, any other position, I'm not going to be too upset. But for the most part, we need defense. We need to get them solid and shored up. And we just need to hope that Dennis Allen is able to get the most out of them. But that's my draft thoughts. I'm really just expecting a lot of real trenches players being picked. I don't know that I expect anything crazy. I don't expect any overly huge impact from some of these rookies. There's always going to be at least one, but I don't think we're going to be seeing anything that's going to be similar to somebody I can think of, to a fucking shit. I don't think you can expect to see anybody that's going to come out with an impact similar to a Colston Loveland, to where they're going to really just transform their offense, or anybody that's going to just completely transform their defense. You're going to have solid players on both sides of the ball from this draft, because you always do, but don't expect anybody to be an X factor, at least not early. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been Kinetic Aesthetic, and this has been your week's edition of Sports Talk. I want to thank you all again for tuning in and checking us out, and tell you, make sure you like, follow, subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment on what you think your team is going to be doing in tonight's draft. If you are already, and if you're watching it while this one is being recorded, let me know what you think of how it's going so far. Once again, though, this has been Kinetic Aesthetic. It's been your boy Germ. Expect next week's Sports Talk to be back on Tuesday, where we'll all be talking about all the results of tonight's action, whether that be NBA playoffs or the draft. But aside from that, everybody, just continue to be good people. Continue to drink a lot of water. Tell your friends and family that you love them, and just be the best versions of yourself. This has been your boy Germ, and I am out.